Chosen one, what if I told you your glow is spiritual, not visual? That your peace now haunts the same people who once overlooked you? Your light isn't from makeup, it's from mastery. You felt it, haven't you? That shift in energy, the way people glance at you now with a mixture of curiosity and unease. They can't quite put their finger on it, but you can feel their attention, their subtle discomfort. It's not about the surface anymore, it's about the substance. Your transformation is real, and it's reaching into places you never imagined, affecting those who thought they had you figured out. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Today, we're going to uncover exactly why your presence has become so magnetic. We'll explore what's changed, what they're feeling, and why they're so drawn to something they can't define. By the end of this video, you'll see that your glow is more than just a shift in energy. It's a divine signal. Let's dive in. You didn't glow up, you grew up. You may have reached this point because something inside you no longer felt right. Perhaps you looked at yourself in the mirror and realized that the changes you've undergone aren't the kind that can be measured by surface-level shifts. Your life may not look better by the usual standards. Maybe you didn't get a big promotion, maybe you haven't moved into a bigger house, maybe you haven't won a major award. Yet something about you feels undeniably different. The person you were last year, last month, even last week isn't the person standing here now. You've begun to notice a quiet power in yourself that doesn't depend on validation from others. It's not that you've stopped caring. It's that you no longer need outside confirmation of what you know to be true. That alone is a sign that something deep has shifted. There's a struggle that comes with this transformation, though. First, it's confusing and even painful. You may have found yourself withdrawing from the things that used to bring you comfort, not because they're bad, but because they no longer align with the person you're becoming. Friends may have commented on how different you seem. Family members might have looked at you with concern, wondering why you don't laugh at the same jokes or engage in the same arguments. On the surface, it may appear that you've grown distant, but the reality is you've grown inward. You've stopped relying on external markers of success and started tuning into a voice that's always been there, waiting for you to listen. This shift isn't something everyone understands, and that's why it can feel isolating at times. Yet, in those moments of isolation, you've found strength you didn't know you had. In 1 Samuel 16, when the prophet Samuel was sent to anoint a new king, God reminded him not to judge by appearances. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. This lesser-quoted passage speaks to the essence of your transformation. It wasn't about perfecting the outer image, but rather about refining the heart and soul. The trials you faced weren't meaningless. They were carefully orchestrated opportunities for growth. While others were busy trying to polish their exteriors, you were being shaped from the inside out. It wasn't always easy. In fact, it often felt like you were walking through fire. But it was in that fire that the impurities fell away, leaving behind something purer, something more real. And that's why your change feels so profound. It was never about putting on a show. It was about becoming more of who you already were. Now, you can see the evidence of this growth everywhere. You notice how you carry yourself differently, how you move through the world with a quiet confidence that doesn't demand attention, yet naturally draws it. People who once overlooked you now take notice, even if they don't fully understand why. They may not be able to pinpoint what's changed, but you see it clearly. Your priorities have shifted. You no longer feel the urge to chase after approval or bend yourself to fit someone else's mold. There's a calm assurance in you now, a sense that the ground beneath your feet is firmer than it's ever been. It's not just that you've grown, it's that you've grown into your authentic power. But what's even more remarkable is how this growth has aligned with forces beyond yourself. It's as if the universe has recognized the work you've done and is now stepping in to support you. The opportunities that once seemed impossible are suddenly within reach. Not because you chased them, but because you've become the kind of person who naturally attracts them. Synchronicities, unexpected connections, and moments of clarity appear almost out of nowhere, guiding you further along this path. It's as if a higher power has been quietly clearing the way, ensuring that every step you take is met with a little more light, a little more ease. The struggles you once faced weren't meant to break you. They were meant to shape you into someone who could walk this path with confidence and grace. Of course, this transformation isn't always comfortable. Growth rarely is. There may still be moments when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if you're truly on the right track. But these moments are no longer defining. Instead, they serve as reminders of how far you've come. You can look back at the person you used to be, at the patterns and habits that once held you back, and see them for what they are: lessons you've learned and outgrown. It's not about pretending you've got everything figured out. It's about trusting that you're moving in the right direction, even if the path isn't always clear. The key is to embrace the changes, to lean into them fully, knowing that what lies ahead is far greater than anything you're leaving behind. And now you have a choice. You can continue on this path of growth, or you can retreat into what's familiar. The latter may seem tempting. After all, it's easier to stay where you feel safe. But deep down, you know that safety isn't the same as fulfillment. True fulfillment comes from stepping into your power, from embracing the person you've become and allowing that person to shine. It's not about trying to impress anyone or prove anything. It's about living authentically and letting that authenticity guide you. You've already done so much of the work. Now is the time to trust that work, to trust yourself, and to step forward without hesitation. So here you are, standing on the threshold of something extraordinary. You didn't just glow up. You grew up. You grew into your strength, your clarity, your purpose. And that growth has changed everything. You no longer need to seek validation because you found it within yourself. If this resonates with you, comment, "I am ready" below. Know that this is your moment. This is your time. You've done the work. And now it's time to step into the life you were always meant to live. Presence over performance. You've felt the pressure, haven't you? The pressure to prove yourself, to keep up, to show the world that you're worth noticing. For so long, it seemed like everyone around you was putting on a performance, carefully curating their lives for approval and applause. It might have even felt as if you were falling behind because you weren't willing to play that game. But deep down, you knew there was another way. Something inside you whispered that your worth isn't tied to how loud you can shout or how much you can impress others. And slowly, you began to realize that true strength doesn't come from the act. It comes from the presence. It's not about convincing people to see you. It's about showing up as you are, fully, unapologetically, and letting that quiet authenticity speak for itself. But that realization didn't come easily. There were moments when you doubted yourself, wondering if you'd made a mistake by stepping away from the spotlight. You watched as others seemed to effortlessly command attention, while you focused on simply being true to yourself. Maybe you thought you'd be left behind, overlooked, forgotten. Those doubts can be heavy. The fear of not measuring up, the worry that your quiet confidence would never be enough. These are real and they can be overwhelming. Yet, even in those moments of uncertainty, you held on to something greater. You chose to trust that showing up as yourself was more valuable than trying to become something you're not. That choice, while difficult, became the foundation of a transformation that many don't have the courage to make. In the book of Exodus, there's a moment when Moses, after spending time in the presence of God, descends from Mount Sinai. His face shines so brightly that he must cover it with a veil. The people weren't drawn to Moses because he performed miracles in that moment or gave a stirring speech. They were drawn to the undeniable presence that came from his time in divine alignment. That glow wasn't something Moses sought to achieve, it simply was. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful transformations happen not through what we do, but through who we become. And that's what you've discovered. Your presence, born from alignment and truth, is more magnetic than any performance could ever be. As this shift unfolded within you, you began to notice the changes around you. It wasn't immediate and it wasn't always obvious, but slowly, the world seemed to respond to your authenticity. Conversations felt more meaningful. The right opportunities began to present themselves, not because you chased them, but because you were ready to receive them. Even the people who once overlooked you started to pay attention, not because you demanded it, but because your presence made it impossible not to. It's as if the universe itself started to rearrange things in your favor, recognizing the quiet power you'd cultivated. You weren't performing, you were simply being, and that changed everything. What you've tapped into is more than just personal growth. It's spiritual alignment. This isn't about being passive or waiting for things to happen. It's about understanding that when you're in alignment with your true self, your very presence does the work. The struggles you faced weren't just obstacles. They were part of the preparation. Each moment of doubt, each time you chose truth over pretense, was a step toward becoming the person you are now. And as you stepped into that alignment, you saw how the pieces of your life began to fall into place. This isn't coincidence. It's divine timing, a confirmation that when you stop performing for the world and start living for your truth, everything changes. Of course, stepping into this way of being isn't always comfortable. It requires a level of trust that can feel unsettling. When you stop performing, you give up the safety net of approval. You risk standing alone. But what you found is that true confidence doesn't come from the applause of others. It comes from the quiet assurance that you are enough just as you are. This realization marks a turning point. It's no longer about wondering if your authenticity will be accepted. It's about knowing that it's the only way to truly live. It's about embracing the stillness and understanding that in that stillness lies your greatest power. And now that you've reached this place, what's next? The answer is simple. Keep walking this path. Let go of any remaining doubts. Release the need for validation. Trust that your presence is more than enough. The world may still try to pull you back into the performance, but you've already seen the difference. You've felt the power of simply being true to yourself. That power is yours to keep, to grow, to share. And as you continue to live from that place of truth, you'll find that the world responds in ways you never expected. Opportunities will continue to appear. The right people will find their way to you. And through it all, you'll know that you didn't have to chase or perform. You simply had to show up as yourself. Your journey is proof that presence is greater than performance. It's a reminder that we don't have to be loud or showy to make an impact. If this resonates with you, comment, "I am ready" below. Let this be your declaration. You are enough just as you are. Your presence speaks louder than any performance ever could. And that chosen one is your true power. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community. A private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The aura of authenticity. There's something you felt, isn't there? That shift when you decided to stop pretending, to stop conforming, and to finally show up as yourself. Maybe it came after years of trying to fit into roles that never truly felt right. Or maybe it was a quiet moment when you realized you were done living by someone else's script. Whatever the trigger, you found that being authentic, showing up raw, real, and unfiltered was both liberating and unsettling. Not just for you, but for those around you. Suddenly, the world didn't respond the same way. Some people withdrew, others whispered behind your back, and a few looked at you as if they were seeing you for the first time. It can feel isolating, but it's also exhilarating. Because what you're starting to realize is that you're not here to please everyone. You're here to be true to yourself. And that truth, as uncomfortable as it might make others, is what sets you free. But the journey to authenticity isn't without its struggles. At first, it feels like you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, shedding the masks you've worn for so long. You may have lost friends along the way, people who preferred the version of you that played along, that didn't challenge their illusions. You may have faced criticism or felt like an outsider in spaces where you once felt at home. And let's be honest, it's painful. There's a loneliness that comes with choosing to be real when so many around you are still hiding. But what's more painful is the thought of going back. The idea of slipping on those old masks again, of pretending to be something you're not, is unbearable. So you keep going. You choose to walk this path, even when it feels uncertain. And that choice, though difficult, is the very thing that is reshaping your life. In the book of Acts, there's a moment when Peter and John, after being questioned by the religious authorities, are told not to speak or teach in the name of Jesus anymore. Their response is simple and profound. "We cannot help but speak about what we have seen and heard." Acts 4 verse 20. They couldn't deny their truth. They couldn't silence their authenticity. In a similar way, you've reached a point where you can't pretend anymore. The truth you've come to know, the person you've become, can't be hidden or edited. It's not about shouting it from the rooftops. It's about standing firm in it, even when others don't understand. Your authenticity, like theirs, isn't a strategy, it's a necessity, and it's changing how you move through the world. Over time, you begin to notice the subtle yet powerful shifts around you. People who once overlooked you now seem intrigued. They might not admit it, but you can see the curiosity in their eyes. The way they lean in during conversations. The way their tone softens when they speak to you. It's not because you're performing or trying to impress them. It's because your authenticity is magnetic. Without saying a word, you're challenging them. You're showing them what it looks like to be real. And while some might admire it, others will find it deeply uncomfortable. That discomfort isn't your burden to bear. It's simply the effect of living in your truth. What you're experiencing is more than a personal shift. It's a spiritual alignment. When you let go of the need to please everyone, to blend in, to be what others expect, you create space for divine guidance. The right people, opportunities, and paths begin to find you. It's not magic. It's the natural result of aligning your inner world with your outer world. Your authenticity creates clarity. It allows you to see where you're meant to go and who's meant to walk alongside you. And as you continue to trust this process, you'll notice that the things you once chased now come to you effortlessly. The relationships that felt like hard work become natural. The doors that seemed closed begin to open. This isn't coincidence. It's the power of being true to yourself. But stepping into authenticity requires more than just a decision. It requires courage. Because as freeing as it is, it also means facing your fears, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of being misunderstood. It means standing firm in who you are, even when others question or criticize you. It means choosing truth over comfort every single day. And that's not easy, but it's worth it. Because every time you choose authenticity, you strengthen that inner voice that says, "This is who I am." You learn to trust yourself more deeply, and in that trust, you find a kind of peace that no approval or applause could ever bring. Once you understand the power of your authenticity, you can begin to embrace it fully. Let go of the need to explain yourself. Stop worrying about who approves or disapproves. Trust that the people who are meant to be in your life will stay, and those who aren't will fall away. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. When you're true to yourself, you'll attract the right energy, the right opportunities, the right relationships. And as you continue to grow, you'll realize that the whispers, the stares, the judgments, they're not about you. They're about the courage it takes to be real in a world full of masks. And that courage is what makes you unforgettable. In the end, your authenticity becomes your greatest gift. It's the light that guides you and the mirror that reflects the truth to those around you. If this resonates with you, comment, "I am authentic" below. Let this be your reminder that living your truth is not only powerful, it's necessary. Keep showing up as you are, and watch how the world transforms around you. Your authenticity isn't just a choice, it's a calling, and you are ready to answer it. Magnetism through mastery. You've likely felt that quiet frustration before, haven't you? The kind that comes when you see others constantly seeking attention, striving to be seen, loudly claiming their place in the world. Meanwhile, you've been over here, focused inward, working on yourself without the need for applause. And maybe there were times when you wondered if you should be louder, if you should push harder to be noticed. But deep down, you knew that wasn't your path. You knew that real power wasn't about chasing recognition. It was about becoming so grounded, so centered, that people couldn't help but notice you without you saying a word. This is the truth you've discovered. True magnetism comes from mastery, not performance. That understanding didn't come without challenges. There were moments when you felt overlooked or invisible, especially as you watched others excel in the spotlight. People seemed to reward the ones who spoke the loudest, who had the flashiest presentations, who constantly demanded attention. But while they were busy chasing trends, you were building something far more substantial. You were learning to align with your purpose, to find inner peace, to listen to the still, small voice within you. And that work, though unseen by most, carried a weight far greater than any fleeting applause. It wasn't easy, and there were times when you felt like giving up, when the silence felt isolating. But you kept going because you trusted that the depth you were cultivating would one day become impossible to ignore. In the book of Psalms, David writes, "Be still, and know that I am God." Psalm 46 verse 10. This simple but profound verse reminds us that true mastery doesn't come from constant movement or noise. It comes from stillness, from connection, from trusting the divine flow of things. While others might have been running in circles, you stood firm. You allowed yourself to be refined by the quiet moments, by the inner work that so many people avoid. It wasn't about proving anything. It wasn't about showing the world how hard you were working. It was about becoming the kind of person whose presence speaks louder than words. And that presence, rooted in stillness and faith, has become your greatest strength. Now you're starting to see the effects. Your life feels different, doesn't it? The conversations you have are deeper, more meaningful. The connections you're forming feel authentic, built on mutual respect rather than superficial charm. Even people who once overlooked you are starting to take notice. They may not fully understand what's changed, but they feel it. Your presence makes them pause. It's not because you're trying to impress them. It's because you've become someone who can't be ignored. You walk into a room, and there's an energy about you, a calm authority that draws people in. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's simply real. And in a world so full of noise, that authenticity is magnetic. What's even more profound is how this shift has aligned with forces beyond yourself. It's as if the universe has been quietly clearing your path, bringing the right people and opportunities into your life at just the right moments. You don't have to fight for them. They come to you naturally. The synchronicities you've been noticing, chance encounters, timely messages, sudden clarity, are not random. They're signs that you're walking the path you're meant to walk. The work you've done on yourself, the inner mastery you've achieved, has created a ripple effect. It's not about luck. It's about alignment. And as you continue to trust in this process, you'll find that the right doors open without you having to force them. Of course, this newfound magnetism requires you to fully own it. It's one thing to see the change, but it's another to embrace it without hesitation. Sometimes, people resist their own power because they're afraid of what comes next. They worry about standing out too much, about making others uncomfortable. But you've reached a point where you can no longer hide who you are. The quiet strength you carry isn't something to downplay or apologize for. It's a gift, one that's meant to be shared. This moment isn't about shrinking back or second-guessing yourself. It's about stepping fully into your power, knowing that the work you've done has prepared you for this. So what do you do now? You move forward with intention and confidence. You continue to trust yourself, to trust that the foundation you've built is strong enough to support whatever comes next. Release any lingering doubts. Let go of the need to explain yourself to those who don't understand. Remember that you don't have to chase anything anymore. You've become the kind of person who attracts the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances simply by being who you are. That's the beauty of mastery. It's not about adding more. It's about allowing what's already within you to shine. In the end, your magnetism isn't something you created to impress others. It's the natural result of doing the inner work, of aligning with your higher purpose, of trusting in the divine process. If this resonates with you, comment, "I am magnetic" below. Know that your energy, your presence, your mastery is already enough. Keep walking this path. Keep trusting yourself. And watch how your quiet strength continues to transform not only your life, but the lives of everyone around you. Your light is the lesson. You may have sensed it in the way people look at you, in the subtle shifts in their tone when they speak to you, or in the unspoken tension that rises when you enter a room. It's not always something you can define, but you feel it. You've changed. You've stepped into a version of yourself that is no longer tethered to what others think or expect. And that shift, that undeniable presence you now carry, has become a mirror for everyone around you. Some are inspired by it, drawn to it without even understanding why. Others might seem uncomfortable, as if your very existence is challenging them. But you've come to realize that their reaction isn't about you. It's about what your light reveals. It's about how your presence, your energy, reflects something back to them, something they may not be ready to face. And while it's not always easy, you understand that this is what you're here to do. Not to compete, not to outshine, but to embody a truth that teaches by simply existing. It hasn't always been this way. There was a time when you struggled just to find your footing. You faced challenges that seemed insurmountable, obstacles that made you question whether you were on the right path. Perhaps you remember moments when you felt rejected, dismissed, or unseen. Times when you worked so hard to prove your worth, only to find that no one seemed to notice or care. That search for meaning, for validation, weighed heavily on you. You tried to fit into spaces that weren't meant for you, tried to be someone you thought the world wanted you to be. And the harder you tried, the more distant your true self felt. It was as if you were chasing a moving target, one that could never be caught. The journey to authenticity is not without its pain, and you felt every bit of that struggle. But as difficult as it was, it set the stage for something far greater. In the book of Isaiah, we're reminded of the transformative power of light. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60 verse 1. This verse speaks not just to a future promise, but to the present reality of what happens when you align with your purpose. The challenges you faced, the moments of rejection and doubt, were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to refine you, to strip away what no longer served you so that your light could shine more clearly. It wasn't about becoming better than anyone else. It was about becoming who you truly are. And as that light emerged, it brought with it a clarity that others couldn't ignore. Even if they don't understand it, even if they can't put it into words, they feel the shift. And that shift is the lesson, not just for them, but for you as well. Now, as you move through your days, you notice the transformation. It's not about dramatic outward changes. Your life may look the same in many ways, but beneath the surface, everything is different. The way you carry yourself, the way you respond to challenges, the way you connect with others, all of it reflects the inner growth you've experienced. People who once overlooked you now seem to linger a moment longer when you speak. Their reactions tell you that something has changed, even if they can't articulate it. You've become a quiet force, a presence that can't be ignored. And it's not because you're trying to prove anything. It's because you're finally at peace with who you are. That peace, that inner light, radiates outwards, touching everyone you encounter. It's not loud, it's not demanding, but it is undeniable. This shift isn't just about personal growth. It's about a deeper alignment with your divine purpose. Every obstacle you faced, every moment of doubt, was part of a greater plan. Your light didn't just appear overnight. It was cultivated, nurtured through trials and challenges. And now that light serves as a guide not only for you, but for others. They see in you what they could be, what they might become if they embraced their own truth. And while some may resist, while some may feel exposed by the clarity you bring, it's not something to shy away from. Your energy, your light is a gift. It's a reminder that real power comes from within, that greatness isn't about domination or competition, but about authenticity and resilience. In simply being who you are, you're teaching lessons that words could never convey. But stepping fully into this light requires acceptance. It's one thing to know you've changed. It's another to fully own it. There may still be moments of hesitation, moments when you wonder if you're truly ready. But those doubts don't define you. They're simply remnants of an old mindset, one that you've outgrown. True alignment isn't just about seeing the signs. It's about stepping into them, embracing them wholeheartedly. This is your sacred moment, a time to fully embody the person you've become, to let go of the need for validation, to stop questioning your worth, to recognize that your light is enough, that it always has been. The world may not always understand it, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you understand it, that you accept it, and that you allow it to shine freely. Your journey, your glow, your presence. It's all proof that you were chosen for this path. You've done the work, faced the trials, and now you stand in your full, authentic light. And that light changes everything. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And remember, you are more than noticed. You are remembered.